Brand new reaction today to a story that's making big headlines just 12 days before the midterms. Kentucky's Republican Senate candidate Rand Paul firing back over his opponent's attack ad and verbal attack targeting Paul's faith, values, and his past. The controversy escalated during a debate between the two men earlier this week. This is what Rand Paul had to say about this just a few short hours ago.
I think it's a private matter, and really that I think you have, as a reporter, you have no right to question my faith, but neither does another candidate. And I think it's appalling, it's shameful, and really beneath contempt.
Rand Paul joins me live now. Sir, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. I want to ask you about this because Jack Conway has gone all in on this with not just this ad, but then, I mean, very pointed, direct verbal attacks during your debate. And today your wife came out and said even she finds this a desperate, shameful attack on your family. Then the state auditor in Kentucky was quick to come out and say it's not about your faith. It's not about your family. It is about, quote, your judgment and your character, whether you participated in these events back in college where they claim you tied up a woman. At best, they claim it was a prank, but nonetheless, they want to know why there was this command to pray to a false god named Aqua Buddha. I want to give you the chance to respond to that. There's an attack on judgment and character.
Well, it's kind of hard to respond to an anonymous person who is going to repeat gossip and hearsay from 30 years ago. So where do you start, and should you even start to respond to that? I mean, I can tell you I'm a pro-life Christian, have been since a teenager. I've never said or written anything to indicate otherwise. And so it's really slander for someone to come out and say that I'm not a Christian. And that's what his ad says, and he should be ashamed of himself. The thing is that the reason they won't talk about the issues is because they're wrong. President Obama and his policies are very unpopular in Kentucky, so they don't want to talk about Obamacare, raising taxes, and cap and trade. They want to make up accusations from anonymous people. I mean, Megan, do you want anonymous people coming up and saying stuff about you when you apply for a job at Fox? Should they really be able to say, well, Megyn Kelly did this in college without attaching their name to it? Should you be made to answer that when you apply for a job? I think that's so outlandish and so scurrilous that we shouldn't allow it to be in public discourse.
You know, listen, I don't know whether this happened in college with you or not. I know you told Laura Ingraham you really don't remember anything, like you were part of this goofy society that sort of was irreverent to the university. But I want to ask you this. You had another woman on this show. Her name is Crystal Ball, actually, and she's running for Congress in Virginia. She's a Democrat. She had pictures surface of her behaving like a moron, she admitted, in college. And she was basically saying, if this kind of thing continues, where you attack people for behavior in college, you know, when they behaved like jerks or morons or made stupid decisions, no one is going to run for public office, because there are very few of us who don't have a few things in our past we regret.
Right. What's even worse than that, though, because I'm being attacked for someone's anonymous accusations of what I might have done in college, which I did not do in college. So the thing is it's not only what you did in college, it's someone anonymously saying you did something in college. I said in the debate, it's like when someone comes up to you and says, when did you quit beating your wife? To give credence to the question admits that somehow you ever were beating your wife. So really, I think it has no place in our public discourse, and it shows, I think, a lack of character and a lack of honor on the part of my opponent that he will not discuss the issues of the day. And I think it's because they're unpopular. Kentucky's a conservative state, and we don't want the federal takeover of health care. We don't want President Obama to raise our taxes, and we don't want all the new regulations. But that's what I want to talk about. I'm sort of tired of talking about anonymous accusations.
I'm sure you are, and I want to ask you about that, because now the polls actually showed a bit of a tightening in the race after that debate and those attack ads. Now it shows you up again, 5 points, a pretty solid 5 points according to RealClearPolitics.com average. What do you make? You got 12 days to go. How do you seal this deal and keep those numbers in your favor?
Well, I think we have enormous momentum. I just got off of an 8-day bus tour. I went to every section of our state, and I didn't find anybody who supports the president's agenda. I mean, you go out to the eastern part of our state, and their livelihood is on the line because cap and trade would devastate our coal industry, and they know that President Obama has said repeatedly that his policies will bankrupt coal. But that doesn't mean just owners. That means mine workers, people who work in the Walmart, people who serve food to miners. It's 100,000 jobs in Kentucky, and people understand that the president's against them, and they know I will be a voice of reason to defend our Kentucky jobs.
Yeah, and I got to go, so I need a quick answer to this. But what of the other sides, it's not just your opponent, it's the DNC backers, trying to make you into an extremist? They're talking about some of your positions. You're an open libertarian. You don't like a lot of big government. They're trying to scare people into believing that you're going to take away things like Social Security and Medicare and other government entitlements.
Well, those are just more lies, but what I would say is that what's extreme is going on in Washington. $2 trillion deficit in 1 year, that's extreme. What do I talk about? A balanced budget amendment, term limits, read the bills before you vote on them. These are all very mainstream reform government ideas that come out of the Tea Party. I think the Tea Party ideas are incredibly popular with both parties, and that's why we're going to win.
All right, Rand Paul, we'll be watching November 2nd. Thanks so much for coming on, sir.
Thanks, Megan.
All the best.